Alright guys, I wanted to do a quick tutorial on our first big project for this class, and that's using the pen tool shape tools to create a vector illustration, something like this. So if you are not very comfortable with Illustrator, the pen tool, or the shape tools yet, I do recommend that you download the Toucan image. If you are doing pretty well, you're all caught up, you feel comfortable, you can start off by downloading this image and then trying to create a vector from it. Okay, so let's go ahead, and the first step tells you download one of the images. Please follow these instructions, and it's telling you the correct way to download them. Do not right click on the thumbnails and try to download from there. Click on the image to enlarge it and then hit download image here. This makes sure that you download the full res image and not a thumbnail image like this one. Okay, once it's downloaded, I want you to go back to Illustrator. You're going to hit create new. Mine might look a little bit different because it's just like the newer version, but you're going to hit create new file or file new, completely up to you. And I do want you to, this is the new document window. This is how you will create a new file. I know we're used to opening worksheets, so first thing you can do is, if you hear my cat meowing in the background, I'm sorry. You can hit print here and then you'll have some defaults, but honestly you can come to this section over here and always set your own specs here. I do want you to change it from points to inches. I want you to change this to 11 by 17. If you're doing the parrot, you'll do the orientation portrait. If you're doing the toucan, you're going to hit the landscape orientation. Here's the number of artboards that you can add, and we're just going to leave that at 1 for now. I do want you to change the color mode to CMYK, and that's just because color mode CMYK is for printing purposes. And then your your raster effects or your DPI you change to 150. This is just basically your image resolution. So we're not printing too big, so 150 PPI works fine. Once your new document window looks like this, 11 by 17, landscape for the toucan, CMYK color mode, medium 150, you're going to hit create. All right, so a couple things I want you to make sure is that you're looking at your toolbar and it looks like this. You have all of the tools. If it doesn't, make sure you click on Windows, hover over toolbars, and make sure that the advanced is selected. If it looks a little bit thinner, just hover over one of these edges here and then expand it for it to be 2 rows or 2 columns. Okay, I do want you to have access to your properties, so look something like this. And then your layers is somewhere down here too. So if you don't see your layers, or your layers are up here, I'm just going to delete it. If you don't see layers anywhere, remember you can come to Window, find Layers, and if you grab any tab from right here, left click and hold and drag it until you see a blue line like that appear. You can let go and it docks it in that area. This is just like a good workflow that works for me because I'm able to see the properties and then my layers at the same time. Okay, so once you have this here, you can either go to your downloads and bring the file from your downloads, or you can just hit Chrome, right? Minimize this. I'm going to grab the file from here, left click and hold to drag it over to Illustrator, and then let go in Illustrator. It's my cat again, y'all. So you should see that your image, because it is a full res image, is really large. It's bigger than our artboard. So 2 ways you can resize is hovering over one of the corners here until you see that double arrow, and then make sure you always hold down shift to make sure that the proportions are kept. So I'm going to hold down shift on my keyboard, left click and drag down. You never want to let go of the shift key. You always want to let go of the the mouse first and then shift. So that's one way you can do it. Another way too is I can come over to my properties panel right here, click on the width and make this 17, come to my height and make this 11. If it's not letting you resize it to the way you want, right? Make sure this is not checked on like that. Like if it's doing something like that, just uncheck that and you should be able to change the size. Okay, if you don't see an align option here, it might be in one of your collapse panels here. And you could either click and drag to move it. I like using this because it centers it for me. We'll go over that tool later, but once you have your image resized like this, I want you to come to your layers panel. And if you hover over this like little empty space next to this little eye icon, if you click here, you can lock this layer. But I want you to double click on this first and rename it to image, and then hit the lock button. And then once you have that down, I want you to hit the create new layer option down here. It's a little box with a plus sign. If you hover over any icon, it tells you the name or the function. So once you add a new layer, again, I want you to double click on this, and this is going to be your working layer. Right, so we'll take a pause here. Or no, actually, I want you to save before you leave anything. So go to File, Save As. Make sure you select your thumb drive. I know PC looks a little bit different from a Mac, but rename your file to last name, first name, initial, underscore, vector, drawing. Keep it as an AI file because this is your working file. Hit save. You might get this box pop up here, and then you're going to hit OK. All right, so once you've saved this to your thumb drive, you'll see this update the name over here too. Just click on the next video to follow along.